Okay, okay. Hopefully this will be the last chapter of this. We might be able to finish this in under 12 hours. We might. Automated Artificer. 2 mana for a 1/3 artifact creature Artificer. Tap to add 1 Colorless. Spend this mana only to activate an ability or cast an artifact spell. Seems bad. Bronze Cudgels. 1 mana artifact equipment. Equip 1. Activated ability costs 2. Until end of turn, equipped creature gets +X/+O, where X is the number of times this ability is resolved this turn. Cute. So 4 mana gives +3/+O. 6 mana gives +6/+O. In other words, bad. Brute Suit. 3 mana, 4/3 artifact vehicle. Vigilance, crew 1. And not quite good enough outside of limited. Circuit Mender. 3-drop artifact creature insect 2/3. When Circuit Mender enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. When Circuit Mender leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Oh, leaves, not even dies? I don't think that's good enough, but that's kind of interesting. Yeah, could have a Soul Herder. That's true. I think this might actually be playable in the right deck that just needs a blocker. There were times where it was possible to play a 3 mana 2/2 that gains life and then draws a card when it dies as like a potentially viable way to play against aggro. And this is kind of interesting in the sense that it synergizes with ephemerate effects. But ninjutsu it, I guess, yeah. Although replaying this as a 3-drop isn't super exciting. It's kind of expensive to synergize with ninjutsu. I suspect we're probably at a point where standard is kind of too powerful for this to be good, but it is interesting with some, like, blinky synergy nonsense, maybe? But, I don't know. I think we're a little past this in power level sense. Containment Construct. 2 mana, artifact creature construct. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. Ooh, alright. That's interesting. I don't see an immediate synergy for that comes to mind. Madness Machine would have been a good name, huh? Containment Construct seems busted. I don't know if it's busted. You still have to, like, obey the timing restrictions and stuff. Like, are you really playing Containment Construct as your 2-drop and then, like, turn 3 Faithless Looting, play a land, play a 2-drop? That's a lot of hoops to jump through and a lot of medium cards to play to end up with some card advantage. This plus blood? Yeah, I guess blood's kind of interesting. You can play lands with it, that's true. It's vulnerable to, like, everything. But I guess blood tokens might actually be a synergy that gets there if you have a reasonable enough way to make blood. I find this plus Faithless Looting to probably be hard to take enough advantage of. The most reasonable thing I could see happening is if you're okay playing off curve, you can just discard lands to blood tokens and then play the land. And that's like the easiest way to turn this into card advantage. It's already Conspiracy Theorist in Standard. Did that work? Yeah, so Conspiracy Theorist didn't work with lands. I don't know if that's a big deal, but it is the easiest way I see Containment Construct being low opportunity cost card draw. Ice Smooth, thanks for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. I still think that the stat line on this probably isn't good enough, but yeah, alright, blood tokens plus this is a card advantage engine that you can fit in a lot of decks that don't usually have card advantage engines. That's interesting, if nothing else. Dramatist's Puppet. 4 mana for a 2/4 artifact creature construct. When Dramatist's Puppet enters the battlefield, for each kind of counter on target permanent, put another counter of that kind on it or remove one from it. Okay, so we actually have Proliferate, but at 4 mana as a 2/4, nah, that's not good enough at that rate. Eater of Virtue. 1 mana legendary artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature dies, exile it. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. As long as a card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, equipped creature has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. Equip 1. So base case, this is Bone Splitter. Oh, Containment Construct working with Channel is interesting. So yeah, if you just channel a land and then play it, that's interesting. How do you get Indestructible to die? Sack it to, like, Cauldron or Witch's Oven or something. I mean, Legendary Clause is kind of weird in that you can't jam 4 of this in a deck. But you can definitely play 1 of this in, like, a deck and be pretty reasonably happy with 1 Bone Splitter, especially if your deck cares about having modified stuff for any reason. Potentially plays interesting with those Double Strike swords from earlier. Because if you equip this to the Double Strike swords and then the Double Strike swords die, your sword has 2 swords inside of it. This Encore Blade Master seems great. Not quite. Oh wait, yes it is, actually, because Double Strike, it has Double Strike initially. It doesn't need to be equipped to have Double Strike. So even if you equip Eater of Virtue to Core Blade Master and then Core Blade Master gets exiled, you still just have this thing sticking around with Double Strike. Yeah, alright, alright. I could see Eater of Virtue actually seeing play as like a one-of in random lists and just being good. I don't know how likely you are to want more than 1 copy of Eater of Virtue. Like, the effect doesn't seem strong enough that it's worth risking the Legendary Clause downside to draw it more often. But, like, 1 doesn't have an opportunity cost and seems decent. Ecologists' Terrarium. 2 mana artifact. When Ecologists' Terrarium enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. To untap, sacrifice the Terrarium, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. Seems bad. But color fixing and limited that modifies something. It's like interesting. High Speed Hoverbike. 2 mana, 2/2 artifact vehicle, flash, flying. When it enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target creature, crew 1. I have to imagine that's probably limited only. That doesn't seem like enough stats to be relevant and constructed, even if it does tap stuff and interrupt. Iron Apprentice. 1 mana 0/0 artifact creature construct. Iron Apprentice enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. When Iron Apprentice dies, if it had a counter on it, put those counters on target creature you control. Okay, so that is a modified creature on 1 for our 2-drop red creature to be a 3/3. Yeah, not modular, so it goes on any creature you control. Hoverbike does have flying for ninjutsu. I guess that's true, although I don't see wanting to play vehicles and ninjutsu in the same deck. Because ninjutsu probably wants you to have as many attackers as possible. Iron Apprentice could see play if modified synergies are strong enough, I think. Mech Titan Core. I'm really surprised this name isn't Mecha Titan Core. 2 mana, 2/4 artifact vehicle. Crew 2. Activated ability. 5 mana, exile Mecha Titan Core and 4 other artifact creatures and or vehicles you control. Create Mech Titan, a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature token with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and haste that's all colors. When that token leaves the battlefield, return all cards exiled with Mechatitan Core, except Mechatitan Core, to the battlefield tapped and under their owner's control. It's a good thing I learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently, because this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card text box, alright. Literally Voltron. Yeah. They finally gave us actual Voltron, huh? Please look at the token. Oh, is there like special art for the token? Can we do that here? This is the Mechatitan token. That's extremely Voltron. That's fun. Okay, so this isn't good enough, right? Because as a 2-drop 2/4 vehicle, this just sucks. It doesn't do anything until you pay the 5. It does a lot once you pay the 5. But, like, it kind of sucks. Which is a shame. But it's cool. Alright. I am indeed still at this. We're nearly done. We're hoping we finish before 12 hours is up. Mirror Box. 3 colorless. Artifact. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1. Each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares the same name as that creature. Oh, Moloku? Is that what that's supposed to be? Moloku the Clouded Mirror? Oh, it is, isn't it? And it's the same dress. Aww. That's cute. Oh, and the mirror callback. Because Moloku is the Clouded Mirror. Alright. That's cute. Bard class fodder? Okay, so this with Bard class plus Halana. Halana enters as a 3/4 from Bard class. Second one makes them both 5/6. I guess, but you have to, like, play multiple Halanas. I guess each Halana is 2 mana. So on turn 4, you play 2 Halana? No, because you play Bard class on 2, upgrade Bard class on 3, play Mirror Box on 4, play double Halana on 6? That's too slow, right? That's gotta be way too slow. I don't think you can play Bard class into this. Your curve is garbage at that point. Which is a shame. Especially because when you don't draw Mirror Box, Bard class naturally wants to try to not play multiple copies of the same legendary. So as to avoid the legendary downside. Yeah. Seems cool. I'm sure Commando players will love it. I'm not seeing a way to make it work in standard speed constructed. Network Terminal. 3 mana artifact. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. 1 and tap. Another. Tap this. Tap another untapped artifact you control. Draw a card, then discard a card. Okay. Limited only. Ninja's Kunai. 1 mana. Artifact equipment. Equipped creature has 1 and tap. Sacrifice Ninja's Kunai. Ninja's Kunai deals 3 damage to any target. Equip 1. Okay. Seems bad. Limited only. Papercraft Decoy. 2 mana artifact creature. Frog. 2/1. When Papercraft Decoy leaves the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Limited only. Seems bad. Patchwork Automaton. 2 mana 1/1 artifact creature construct. Ward 2. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Automaton. Okay, so it's a 2-drop that's kind of hard to remove, that gets bigger possibly kind of quickly, and also counts as modified. That might actually have some potential, especially in like a blue-red deck that tries to reduce the cost of artifacts by a lot very quickly. That might, maybe, actually, be possible that this could be a card that works. It doesn't take a lot for this to become like a 3/3. And if it's a 2 mana 3/3 with Ward 2, like on turn 3 or 4, that's That's actually pretty decent. Maybe? This has some potential. Reckoner Bankbuster. 2 mana 4/4 artifact vehicle. Reckoner Bankbuster enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters on it. 2 and tap. Remove a charge counter from Reckoner Bankbuster. Draw a card. Then if there are no charge counters on Reckoner Bankbuster, create a treasure token and a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. Crew 3. Huh. Okay. This isn't quite... What's the name of the card I'm thinking of? Chris, what if we play Mirror Box and Blue-White Control so we can play 4 Teferi Heroes at once? That does sound delightfully Winmore. What's the 2-drop thing that... Maze Mind Tome, thank you. I'm 11 hours into this. I need all the help I can get co-piloting this stream. This isn't quite Maze Mind Tome in the sense that you can't scry to fix your land drops, which was an important part of that card being so good. And it doesn't gain life for 0 extra mana invested, which was potentially important as like a main deck card that became relevant against aggro. But the times where this just blocks good is interesting. It doesn't attack good, necessarily. And that's kind of awkward, because if you attack, you can't tap it. But, like, I guess in a scenario where you play this on 2, and then play a 3-drop on 3 and just attack with Bankbuster, I guess this is modal, right? Like, you don't need to draw the cards. You just play this game 1, and if you're playing against a dirtily mid-range deck where you need to outvalue them, then you draw cards. But if you're playing against control and want to race them, then you animate an attack. This might actually be real good. Howdy, Cerisium. Good morning. Hope it's treating you well. I'm going to get to go to sleep here and have it be good night eventually. Makes 3 permanents and draws 3 cards. Seems busted. I don't know if it's that simple. Like, I think this card probably isn't at its best when you're tapping to draw cards. But the fact that it maybe can attack a couple of times and then, like, on turn 6, start drawing cards instead is actually good. I'm going to go with actually good. Seems actually good. The only downside is it's not a 2-drop that you can crew with the 1-drop black Okiba card. So it seems garbage, basically. Unplayable. How could you even play it? All of your 2-drop vehicles have to be crewable by a 2/2. Unfortunate. We almost got there. Raidos Sentinel. 3 mana, 3/3 artifact creature construct defender. When Raidos Sentinel enters the battlefield, target player mills 3 cards. 3 mana, put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. Seems garbage. Runaway Trashbot. 3 mana, 0/4 artifact creature construct trample. Runaway Trashbot gets +1/+0 for each artifact and/or enchantment card in your graveyard. Seems bad. Searchlight Companion. 3 mana, 1/1 artifact creature drone with flying. When Searchlight Companion enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless spirit token. Seems bad. Shrine Steward. 5 mana, 3/2 artifact creature construct. When Shrine Steward enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an aura or shrine card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. If this costs like 2 less mana, it might be interesting. Even makes a treasure. Why the hell does it make a treasure? Because after spending 6 mana on drawing cards, you're kind of at the point where treasure token no longer is super impactful and is just flavor. Surge Hacker Mech. 4 mana, 5/5 artifact creature vehicle with menace. When Surge Hacker Mech enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Crew 4. Huh. So I'm assuming this is the vehicle Flame Tongue Kavu everybody's been talking about? This is interesting. I mean, the ETB damage is kind of cool. And having Menace is nice. It does seem sort of slow, though, at that point in the game, by the time you're getting to cast a 4-drop. Maybe it could see play? I guess? It is a shock at minimum. I mean, that's not wrong. I just don't know if that's actually good enough. Should have been any target? No, definitely couldn't go face. If you only have one other vehicle, this card is nuts. Is it? If this just always... I guess if this always killed a creature, it'd be good. Probably? I don't know. I don't know if playing a vehicle on 4 is the curve out you want compared to playing something more aggressive, though. It's not a shock at minimum. Yeah, it's true. They can't abrade the Surgejacker Mech. It's kind of true. But it's mostly a shock at minimum. There's a limit on how many vehicles you can play. Yeah. And crew 4 is a lot. I could see decks playing this, and I could see decks not playing it, even if they were vehicles decks. I'm a little uncertain. Was Sky Sovereign any good? A lot of people were convinced it was. I did not agree with that. But it's hard to say. Also, a lot of Sky Sovereign's value was in that you got to remove a second thing when you attacked with it. Yeah, Surgejacker Mech can't even crew Colossal Plow, can it? Right? I keep forgetting. How much does Colossal Plow? Colossal Plow. Yeah, can't even crew Colossal Plow. Basically useless. Thundersteel Colossus. 7 mana, 7/7, trample, haste, crew 2. Oh. I mean, that's too much for constructed, but that's gonna be... I mean, 7 mana is a lot, but... Dropping a 7-power lava axe on your opponent in the air... Oh, wait, no, it doesn't fly. Why doesn't it fly? It's literally flying. What? Why doesn't this have flying? It's literally flying. Weird. Yeah, we did see that they changed the magic rules for vehicles so that the vehicles can't crew themselves. Although vehicles, I apparently still can crew other vehicles. Jury was out, but that seemed to be what the wording implied that folks remembered, and I haven't seen the actual real wording. Tawashi Guidebot. 4 mana for a 2/1 artifact creature construct. When Tawashi Guidebot enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. 4 and tap. Draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each modified creature you control. Probably too slow. If this wasn't a creature, I think I'd be more excited about it, oddly enough. But it's removable. That sounds not great. Walking Skyscraper. 8 mana, 8/8 artifact creature construct. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each modified creature you control. Trample. Walking Skyscraper has hexproof as long as it's untapped. Seems limited only, but cute. Alright. 2 lands. I like the art, but that's just a tap life gain land that are always evergreen, more or less. Boseiju Who Endures. Legendary land. Tap to add a green. Channel. 1 and a green. Discard Boseiju Who Endures. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land an opponent controls. That player may search their library for a land card with a basic land type, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. I've seen people excited about this card. I'm kind of surprised by that. There's arguments to be had about the opportunity cost of cards. And I kind of wish I had started with discussing this because I think this discussion is very nuanced. The question about what is it worth to have the opportunity cost of just having a land that 5% of the time you ever encounter it, No. In 5% of games, no, 5% of games is a lot. In 2% of games has an ability you want to use, and the downside is only that you aren't running a dual land in its place. I don't know how to evaluate that. But I feel like this sucks. I don't think I would want to play this over most modal double-faced cards. There is the fact that it doesn't come into play tapped. I would never want to run the risk of the legendary land drawback, so I'm never playing more than one. I don't know, like... Even in Standard, if you're not playing a monocolored deck... Doesn't this just auto-include in any deck because it can replace a basic forest? No, not at all. Because it can't replace a basic forest if you need to have 2 basic forests in your deck for Field of Ruin. And it can't replace a basic forest in a deck that's only running 2 basic forests because the rest of the lands are dual lands. Can't replace a basic forest in a deck that has snow basics. So, like, it could replace a basic forest in a mono-green Pioneer non-snow ramp deck, I guess? Technically? Could be a replacement in Elves, maybe? Yeah, I guess Elves could play that. But I don't actually know of any deck I would play this in. Like, maybe blue-green ramp plays one of this if blue-green ramp is already playing like 6 basics. And then the opportunity cost of adding this over a basic isn't super high? Maybe? But I think this ability is like super garbage. So like, I don't think the opportunity cost of running a basic is worth it over this too often. But some people really like the idea of Assassin's Trophy. And this is really bad Assassin's Trophy. Also, consider the opportunity cost of running Boseiju. Field of Ruin is not the only thing you have to be concerned about, because you have to be concerned about all the other people who decided Boseiju was worth playing, because now you need to have enough non-basic lands to go fetch whenever they blow something up with Boseiju. Yeah, I'm not actually that excited about this. It seems like it's going to get played in too many decks and be very overvalued. I'm super excited if my opponent ever decides to activate Boseiju targeting one of my permanents, because then I get lands, and that's all I ever wanted anyway. Eiganjo, Seed of the Empire. Legendary land, tap to add a white. Channel, 2 and a white, discard Eiganjo, Seed of the Empire. It deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. This, on the other hand, actually feels like a very good ability compared to Boseiju. I would potentially include this over a dual land that makes my mana a little better, whereas I would not do that for the effect of Boseiju. But Eiganjo, actually decent removal spell. Kind of okay with it. Mech Hanger. Land, tap to add 1 colorless, or tap to add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a pilot or vehicle spell. 3 tap. Target artifact or target vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That's kind of interesting. Not ideal, but it gives you something to do when you're top decking and empty-handed. Pilot or vehicle is a little restrictive, but not terrible. You can get shocks and triumphs with Boseiju, doesn't have to be basics. Right, but in the context of Standard, I don't think other than the snow duels we have anything you can get with Boseiju other than basics. But yeah, in Historic you don't necessarily have to play basics to play around Boseiju. Otawara Soaring City. No. Otawara Soaring City. Legendary land. Tapped out of blue. Channel 3 and a blue. Discard Otawara Soaring City. Return target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. This also seems really good, and potentially enough that I would be willing to include it over an extra dual land. Interesting opportunity cost. Roadside Reliquary. Land, tapped out of Colorless. 2 and tap, sacrifice it, draw a card if you control an artifact, draw a card if you control an enchantment. It seems rough. It's pretty obscene how hard they're pushing vehicles, you think? I think even with Mech Hanger vehicles probably isn't actually a good deck, but it looks like it might be a deck that's close to playable. So I suppose I might be on team. I kind of wish they pushed vehicles a little more because I'm not sure vehicles gets there as is. Roadside Reliquary, I have a hard time imagining that playing a colorless land is good enough to get there, even if it does eventually draw 2, but like maybe white-black has good enough mana that it can play Roadside Reliquary and turn it into a draw 2? Maybe? Here's the rules change update. Oh, that's way too big, I can't read that. Wouldn't a blue-white artifact deck be viable in Standard when Kamigawa was out? Maybe. I think that there is a possibility that there is a vehicles deck in blue-white that is viable. If you mean a non-vehicle artifact deck, could be possible. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but could exist. A lot of the existing synergy and artifact stuff is like Fiddlebender, and I don't really know what kind of combo piles you can set up with that currently. I mean, they have a ridiculous amount of vehicle-related cards in this set, and it's silly because Kamigawa was never known for vehicles in the first place. Well, yeah, but like, the flavor of this set is the... What's the right way to put it? Not the discord necessarily, but like, not the competition... discord, I guess? The discord between the old and the new, and trying to bridge the gap between the two. So, yeah, Kamigawa was never known for vehicles in the first place. Dissonance? Yeah, that might be the right word. Yeah, progress versus tradition. So, like, yeah, Kamigawa wasn't known for vehicles, but the flavor of the set is all about, hey, we were never known for this before. What do we do about that? Does that mean we should reject this thing because it's not what we are known for? So, like, I guess I appreciate that there is a... not quite ludonarrative, but like sort of a ludonarrative storytelling happening kind of on multiple levels, pseudo-mechanically being told there. That's neat, I think. I like it. Anyway. Secluded Courtyard. Land. As Secluded Courtyard enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Tap to add a colorless, or tap to add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or activate an ability of a creature or creature card of the chosen type. Okay, the weird wording there being so that you can activate channel abilities. Sure. That seems really powerful. Humans is super happy about that. In Modern, presumably, because it actually enters untapped. So, like, Radical, a lot of decks that are super tribal, creature-based aggro are going to be very happy to have got Secluded Courtyard. I have to believe Vehicles is a playable archetype, otherwise it's a crime to print this much chaff unplayable Tier 1 cards in the set. I mean, if they're unplayable, they're not Tier 1 by definition. But, yeah, I think they're trying to push the archetype into being playable. But a lot of cards just end up being... for a limited environment, and that's not a bad thing. Strictly better unclaimed territory. Yep. Oh, also ninjutsu. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It does both. Alright, Sokenzan, Crucible of Defiance. Legendary land, tapped out a red, channel, 3 in a red, discard Sokenzan, Crucible of Defiance, create 2 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens. They gain haste until end of turn. Yeah, okay, that's probably good enough to be worth playing over a dual land in a 2-color deck. Probably. Yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, being able to make blockers is cool. I like making blockers. Takanuma, Abandoned Mire, Legendary Land, tap to add a black, channel, 3 and a black, discard Takanuma, Abandoned Mire, mill 3 cards, then return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, that one doesn't seem good compared to the rest. I think that's up there with the green one as one I wouldn't really bother including over a dual land ever. Alright, what else we got? Uncharted Haven. Uncharted Haven enters the battlefield tapped. Enters the battlefield, choose a color, add one. That's bad. Alright, lands, pretty lands. Borderless planeswalkers. Stuff with alternate art. I'm sure that's all cool. More alternate art. 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 Different alternate art. We're done. Alright, how long did that take? 11 hours, 21 minutes. We finished in under 12. Oh, success. Alright, that's the end of the stream. Goodbye, folks.